All right, everybody, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case. Over on Rumble, of course. Unpause and repause so that we don't have to see our ugly mug on yet another screen. Right, because I'm confused about Minneapolis. Has there been one or two separate shootings? There's a lot of confusion at the moment over what happened there. That's why it's not actually docketed. But yeah, there was a shooting in Minneapolis. Interesting that their socialist would-be mayor is running there, and this sort of thing happens. First day of school for the kids, and then, people get shot. Many such cases. I typically don't talk much about shooting events because they typically devolve into just a partisan debate. So it's like, one side will say, think of the children, we need to ban guns. The other side will say, no, we need to arm the teachers. And then it just evolves from there. It's basically beating a dead horse at some point. We've got some good news today, though. We're going to be talking about Cracker Barrel. They decided to reverse their decision with regards to their logo. Said, oh, we listen to the people. We're keeping the old white dude next to the Cracker Barrel. We're not going to change our logo to make it look more like the Denny's logo, which appears to be what they were effectively doing, by the way. That's good news, but it comes with a bit of a caveat. Trump is wrong about crime, but right about the fear of it. This is by Austin Sarat from, of course, our old friends at The Guardian. Why am I not surprised? When I saw that, I was like, I didn't even need to actually see the news service that had served up this latest tedious bullshit to know exactly where it came from. The Guardian has gotten that indefensible. We've also got Scott Weiner over in California being humiliated by Ron Desantis over the Anne Frank book thing. It's a funny story. I like how politics these days can play out on Twitter more than anywhere else. Many say feel free, a Kratom kava drink has them trapped in addiction and debt. So we're going to weigh in on the drug war, Kratom, my feelings on that, and so forth. Mediterranean diet, which we talked about actually just the other day in the context of dementia, apparently it can also lower the risk of diabetes, especially in certain group cohorts, which makes sense considering it's a nice healthy diet. So I made spaghetti last night. Well, it was technically fettuccine. I'm making my own sauce, Mario. Florida sheriff shows off $50,000 chain snatched from alleged drug dealer implicated in overdose death. Yeah, this is the Polk County Sheriff. He's known for his ostentatious acts, and so we'll get into that. And then also, apparently, we could recover rare earth elements from other forms of mining, so just mine waste. And if properly processed, can get all of the rare earth minerals that we need. Hell, we could probably become a net exporter if we tried hard enough. This is fascinating, actually. I'll give my thoughts on that. Great Awakening. What color was the shooter? I don't know yet, actually. Again, when I don't have all of the details, I try to avoid bothering to weigh in, even if it's breaking news. I know that it gets more views, it gets more engagement when you do the clickbait thing, but I don't really play that game. R2D2 just released a Bollywood stealth action music video about the NYC mayoral election called Metal Gear Zoran Escape. That sounds funny. Yeah, Kratom has some problems, but it also has usefulness to it as well. This has been an ongoing debate. Some states have outright banned it. I don't know if it was banned here in Vermont. I don't know, actually. I don't know. Actually, let me look that up really quickly. Yeah, I might as well have that open. No, it's illegal here in the state of Vermont. Vermont loves to perpetuate the drug war while pretending to be hippy-trippy paradise. Let's put it that way. Anyways, let's get to our sponsors first. We have cultivated-mind.com, where you can get mushroom pills. Take 2 every morning now. It really boosts my energy. Yesterday, I think I accidentally took 4, actually, because I forgot that I had taken it in the morning. So then I took it a little bit later thinking I hadn't, and felt great, actually. In fact, I might do it again right now. You can also get doggo snacks. They are very, very much in demand by doggos. You should try getting some. I think your pupper will be pleased with its selection. We have BiltongUSA.com, the land of Anton's famous meat. He's got Wagyu, Angus, Cabanassi, and much, much more. Bison, one of my favorites. And also, anytime that we mention Anton, we must also mention Bovrite, which is delicious. Put it in a beef stew. Just trust me on this one. It works. Adds a salty flavor without containing any salt. I'm not exactly sure how this is accomplished. Also, you can get Stick, Sex, and Hammer mugs, tumblers, and shirts there as well. And finally, jamandbean.com, which supplied me with delicious tea. Their tea is very, very good. The Yunnan Jig, in specific, peppermint tea was good. The Healer's good, and all of them are good. Not really a fan of the spicier teas, but that's just in general. I don't want to drink something spicy when I'm drinking tea. Also, Anchor Blend coffee is available as well. I've got several bags. I'm actually sending a few to a friend later on tomorrow, actually. Snakes bleed red. Oh, I forgot. I gotta be like Bobby Bobbinson and talk shit on Sticks and make spreadsheets of everything he says. So the idiots over there have time-stamped lists to go through for their stupid, I can't use that term on YouTube, show that's the only way to get Sticks' attention. Yeah, I know. I'm well aware of this happening. I'm well aware of it. I have many people that feed me information. I generally know what's going on with regards to my brand and my content and so forth. It's all good, though. Everybody talks. Now, this is the main news of the day. Cracker Barrel has decided to retain its original logo with the old-time dude. You know, the old dude leading on the Cracker Barrel, which was kind of the point. There was massive pushback over this, as literally all of you, I'm sure, know. And it was hilarious the entire time, actually. Because it's like, you've got a successful corporate brand that is branded as sort of like the down-home corn pone and fried okra sort of restaurant. But now you're removing all of the down-home corn pone decorations and rebranding your logo. They have decided not to rebrand the logo. This is a wise decision, by the way, and their stock apparently was up 6% day over day as a result of this. They've recovered their loss. I would say, though, it is not entirely clear whether they intend to retain the interior decor, which is one of the reasons why people like Cracker Barrel, because you go in there and it feels like you're in an old country store. Yeah, that's the whole point. That was part of the brand, an intrinsic part of the brand. If you sanitize the interior and make it look like a modern Taco Bell or a Five Guys or something like that, it doesn't matter if you don't change your logo. It's not going to make a huge difference. People are still going to be turned off by the concept because that's the whole point. It's the sort of place where you're traveling, you're on a road trip, and you see a Cracker Barrel, and you're like, yeah, I'm kind of hungry. And so you go and you know that you can get a decent meal. It's not going to be terribly expensive, and it'll be reasonable quality. And so it's reliable. The reliability and the traditionalistic aspect of it really were part of the draw of the franchise to begin with for a very long time. Now they're switching that up. It is not entirely clear whether they've decided to, and I don't know why they would do this anyway, to redo their interiors. I would think if the brand is successful and people like the interior, they think that it's, home style and stuff like that, I would think you would retain it because it costs money just to redecorate and redo the buildings anyway. While they're being, redecorated, you can't actually sell anything anyway. You're losing money. And you're spending a great deal of money in so doing. It literally makes no sense, the decision that they made with regards to the interior decor. Like, I've only been in a Cracker Barrel a couple of times. And it's nice. They have, literal old barrels and all sorts of stuff on the walls, antlers and stuff like that. That's the whole point. That was their niche market. You don't want to spend a lot of money, but you don't want fast food, basically, and you want a decent atmosphere. And also, I think that they sell alcohol in Cracker Barrel as well. I don't know. The last time I was there, I was way too young to drink, so I wouldn't know. I think they have, little bars and stuff. Spike had the Jammin' Beans Panama. I liked it. Yeah, the Panama blend is really good. Although I am fond of the Clanker blend best. Chose it myself. 4 strings. Bring back old Aunt Jemima when while you're at it. Yeah, I think they did bring back Aunt Jemima on the syrup, actually. I think. Didn't they? They didn't bring back Uncle Ben, though. It's like this is based on real people that were, paid for doing this and were proud of, being the face of a product that they happen to endorse. That's like if my face were plastered on the Clank blend or something, and 100 years from now, one of my ancestors says, "Well, modern convention says coffee's bad for you, so you shouldn't be associated with coffee." I'd be rolling over in my grave. Just a second here. Okay, yeah. So Cracker Barrel has gone back on its logo, but it doesn't appear that it's gone back on anything else. So that's unfortunate. I mean, okay, minor victory. The battle is won, but the war is not over. I would advise people to bitch about the interior redecoration, pointing out how expensive it's going to be and how unpopular it's going to be, and keep their toes to the fire, so to speak. And this also shows, this is very optimistic, by the way. This shows that when people get enraged enough, they can push back against these dumb decisions that corporations are making. Honestly, again, I'd rather patronize a local business or, something regional to, southern Vermont or something like that. And there are a number of great places to eat, by the way, anywhere that you go. Unless it's a food desert like in the ghetto or something, then, you get Burger King, I suppose. There are plenty of nice places to go pretty much anywhere in the world that you go. And a lot of them are family-owned, small retail chains, stuff like that. I prefer to give them my business. Do you pay a few extra dollars? Maybe. Although not always, by the way. Is it worth it? Hell yeah, of course it is. Yeah, this is by Austin Surratt. And this is funny. Trump is wrong about crime, but right about the fear of it. This is a TDS article from The Guardian. The basic premise is that Donald Trump is getting it so wrong. Crime isn't actually high. Tell that to the disaffected people in the poorer neighborhoods, especially since a lot of those crimes go unreported. You're only seeing the tip of the iceberg when you're looking at crime statistics. Because if some homeless drifter gets mugged, or some heroin addict gets pickpocketed, do they go to the police? No, of course not. So you don't know that crime ever actually happened in the first place. Petty crime especially, and property crime, are much more present than a lot of people believe. You go into the poor neighborhoods, you wouldn't believe some of the stories that I have, actually. Like that other time I went to New Orleans, and yeah, there may have been a minor theft, actually, that happened at that time. I did not steal anything myself, just saying. But other people did that I was around at the time, and it was hilarious. And it's not really a meaningful crime. And it was funny, but still, this sort of stuff happens. If nobody witnesses it, or nobody's willing to testify or anything like that, it doesn't go into the crime statistics. The crime never happened. So Trump is not only right, he's superlatively right because of the lack of reporting. You go into a neighborhood where people are afraid of, the local drug dealers and cartel members and stuff. Do you really think that they're going to rat on those people that live 1 block away from them and they have Uzis? Probably not. I know I'd keep my mouth shut. Oh, he broke into a car. Well, nobody got hurt. It's regrettable, but, if I tell the police about this, if the cartel member sees the police at my front door and I'm saying, look, the dude's over there, they broke into this car, what the fuck do you think is going to happen to me? A drive-by. Punitive damage for having ratted somebody out. That's what happens, dude. Right about the fear of it. The other part of the article is the postulation that Donald Trump is using the fear of crime in order to whip people up into a frenzy. Again, as I explained, though, crime is massively underreported. This is why crime statistics in some countries, you can just literally burn the paper with the crime statistics because it's not worth the ink that was printed on it. You look at parts of the third world. Rape is massive problem in some of these countries, but it's still underreported. In some countries, you report that and you get stoned. Well, obviously, it happens all the time because there's literally, unless you have witnesses that you actually did such a thing, you're not going to get in any trouble. Nobody's going to tell jack shit. It's basically like some of these countries are giant open-air prisons more than anything else. But that also happens in certain communities within the United States. I've seen it myself. I've seen all sorts of crimes committed. Nobody gets reported. Nobody cares. It kind of depends on where you are. You break into a home in the nimbiest upper-middle-class suburbs. There's a good chance that you're going to jail. You break into a home in the middle of the ghetto. Unless you get shot, there's a good chance nobody does jack shit about it. That's just the way that it is, you know? You've got rape, sexual assault, theft, muggings, shootings, all sorts of things. They never even get pursued. And there's so many shootings in the impoverished neighborhoods in some cities in the United States that even that doesn't really get reported. Oh man, I got shot in a drive-by. Well, it's only a flesh wound, and I've got an outstanding warrant for selling fentanyl. Are they going to go to the police? No. They're going to doctor it up themselves the best that they can. This happens all of the time. Just look at fucking Detroit or New Orleans, someplace like that. Ben Bacon, Obama said on Twitter that Valentina Gomez is a disgusting Islamophobe and insulted his religion and that Islam is the true religion. Yeah, I don't think that, but I do believe that he called her out, I don't know, I thought that was kind of hot. You know, you got this sexy chick burning up a Quran and saying basically, fuck yourself. Yeah, if only she weren't a devout fundamentalist Christian, she'd be perfect. Andrew Thompson, Cracker Barrel got rid of real maple syrup as a cost-saving measure. How about use American-made Vermont syrup as an amends to bring back customers? I will forgive them if they bring back Vermont maple syrup in Cracker Barrel. That would suffice. You can get away with the interior decor, but you need to stop using pancake syrup because it's not actually maple syrup. A little bit of maple flavorant is added to corn syrup. That's, by the way, what Aunt Jemima's syrup is, actually. I like how they've got that Vermont-made stuff, and it's like 10% maple syrup. I used to have that sometimes as a kid, but it'll gunk you up. You shouldn't be eating things with a bunch of corn syrup in them. Yeah, I found that story very funny. Oh, this one's also funny, by the way. There was this senator from California, Scott Weiner. His last name is definitely fitting. Florida banning the diary of Anne Frank tells you everything you need to know about the MAGA movement. You know, the movement that actually has been generally pro-Israel, almost to a fault. Myself, I take no sides in the conflict. I'm America first and don't give a shit what they do over there. But this is false. It was fact-checked by Christina Pushaw, actually, Ron DeSantis' spokeswoman. And then he was weighing in, chuckling about it and saying, look, not only is it not banned, it's actually part of the curriculum. Everyone has to read it. In which grade was it? I believe 8th grade, if I remember correctly. Where is it in the article? Yeah, I believe it's I believe it was 8th grade. They literally have to read the Diary of Anne Frank. It's part of the reading list. So it's clearly not banned because everyone is made to read it. By the way, we're still not sure if certain parts of that were actually written by Anne Frank, but I digress. That goes into the ballpoint pen theory and a million other things that if you talk about on a YouTube live stream, people will call you a Nazi. But I've already been called a Nazi, so I don't really give a shit. Cooking Inferno, New Hampshire maple syrup is far superior to Vermont's. I kill you! That is wrong. You are objectively wrong. We're going to do a taste test. I'll get together a bunch of clankers, and we'll have 2 things of maple syrup and serve up some nice pancakes. And then Vermont syrup goes on some, and then New Hampshire syrup goes on others, and everyone has to taste test both of them. And they don't know which ones they are. And then they have to choose the winner. And I guarantee Vermont will come out on top. We will destroy New Hampshire. I was born in New Hampshire. But their syrup is inferior. Sorry, fellow New Hampshireans, technically, because I was born there. I guess technically I'm a New Hampshirean by blood. Sorry about this. The magical soil theory for statehood. I'm sorry about this, but yeah, Vermont does it better. There's a reason why it's world-renowned. Just saying. When you said talking about maple syrup, a lot of people will mention Vermont. I've never heard most people mention New Hampshire. Sometimes Canada. Theirs is inferior too. Sorry, Canadians. My apologies. Yeah. So it was funny seeing Scott Weiner, and isn't Scott Weiner the one that was pushing for the decriminalization of pedophilia? Was that Scott Weiner? Somebody tell me. It rings a bell. I think it was Scott Weiner, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I need to know. Yeah, wasn't he the one that was like they were pushing for the decriminalizing of buggering young boys and stuff like that? Ben Bacon, how long will you deny Obama as the one true God? Yeah, there are some people that seem to act that way. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Scott Weiner. So, again, name is quite apt. I believe he was trying to effectively decriminalize sodomizing minors. And I know California has also decriminalized spreading AIDS knowingly to other people. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, Birkennook. Yes, it was Scott Weiner. He's a sick, deviant pig. Why am I not surprised? This makes sense to me. Yeah. Let's take mushroom pills, by the way. Yeah, I knew that the name rung a bell. I knew that I had heard of him before. I'm like, where did I hear this? Oh, shit. So the pedophile, or the pederast, the pederast thinks that MAGA movement is anti-Semitic. I think he claimed anti-Semitism when people were criticizing him before for the pederast bill. Yeah. Didn't he invoke... why does he constantly invoke anti-Semitism? Oh, his last name is Weiner. Okay. This is what a coincidence. Yeah, California is one wonky state. I don't even know if it's deserving of statehood at this point. BW, damn it! How long till he pushes through all the voting reforms? Yeah, Trump's got a lot on his plate. He is making good progress in a lot of areas, but in some it's slower than others. Overhauling the voting system's probably going to be the most difficult thing he challenges in his administration, actually. Yeah, that was funny. And Scott, the pedophile, is trying to call out Ron DeSantis as being anti-Semitic, despite the unequivocal support for the Zionistic movement among 90% of Republicans. That makes a whole lot of sense. Usually, I mean, I would think that you would criticize the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party has that left-wing attaché, of which he is marginally at least a part on, especially with his progressive views with regards to sticking your cock in a young boy's asshole. I would think that he would criticize his own party. He should be joining, if he's so gung-ho for Israel, he should be joining the Republicans. Something that I oppose them on, actually. I don't think we have any skin in the game and should abandon the region entirely. Or just fucking take it over and annex it. Fiddle chips. The 600,000 Chinese students is wild. Keep in mind that those are learning visas. There will be some problems as a result of this, but I have a feeling it's part of greater negotiations with regards to economics. I pointed that out the other day. Cooking Inferno. What do you think about the U.S. subterfuge agents in Greenland that got caught? What? I haven't heard anything about this. I need to look that up. Oh. Denmark summons U.S. envoy over claims of interference in Greenland. Huh. Ah, they've been carrying out covert influence operations. Well, I support this. Yeah, that's a great idea. If we can get Greenland to run an independence movement, there's only 55 fucking thousand people in the whole island, and they decide to devolve from Greenland and become a sovereign country, we can pour in shit tons of investment, and we can make everyone in Greenland goddamn filthy rich, while also getting a bunch of minerals, fuel, and other resources. Everybody wins, except for Denmark. That's probably why they summoned the envoy. So yeah, I'll look more into that. In fact, I'll archive it right now, and I'll Probably pop that into a video tomorrow. Thank you for that news tip, by the way. Fascinating. I'll have to read more into that. Yeah, I support attempting to encourage Greenland independence. Now, if they want to petition for statehood afterwards, that's their own purview. That's up to the people there. It'd be great. It would be wonderful if Greenland were to become a territory of the United States. But that's not even necessary. Everyone benefits anyway, because right now we're cock-blocked by Denmark and therefore the EU in actually developing the country. I would think that the people of Greenland would love it if a bunch of high-paying jobs and a shit ton of wealth came rolling out of the glaciers, so to speak. Now, we don't need to absorb them, but, I mean, Trump should frame it as liberation from colonialism, when you think about it. Denmark has effectively taken colonial control of Denmark. Trump should come out and say, look, we're not trying to absorb them, we're trying to liberate them. That would be hilarious. Mike the Wop, Clank Tarl, hope all your shit is good. Yeah, I took a good shit this morning, that's what I'm talking about. John Hoyle, we see massive jobs moving into the U.S. under Trump. We do not see the massive training programs to prepare. It will likely be a door for H-1B if we don't invest in a skilled domestic workforce now. Yes, this is a good point. This is one thing that we do need. We need to have an initiative to get more people interested in the kind of jobs that are actually going to very quickly, I believe, in the next few years, become available. Due to tariffs and trade deals and things like that, I imagine that the United States industrial infrastructure is going to need an upgrade. So, you're going to need more engineers. You're going to need more architects. You're going to need more plumbers and electricians and people to do construction work, all of which are good paying jobs. Especially if you're freelancing as a plumber up here. God, you should see the money that some of those people make. We're going to need railway workers. You're going to need more rail because you're going to have more throughput. You're going to need to upgrade the roads. You're going to need road crews and stuff like that. You're going to need to expand everything because the U.S. economy is going to explode with growth. When that happens, you're going to need a lot of skilled labor, and we do not have enough of it. Hell, agriculture, things like that. You know, you need more food. Taco Woman's Sandy Ravage. Shout out to my black and death metal band, Gnashing. Yeah, man. We're playing Holy Diver Bar in NOLA next Saturday, 9/6, with Faustian and Writhings. Show 8 p.m., $10 cover. Man, I wish I was down in New Orleans right now. I would attend. That would be fun. Primal Werewolf. Greenlanders despise people from the USA, enough to refuse getting more money. I don't know that they all despise the USA. I do know that most of them seem to despise their Danish overlords, though. They should just become independent. And then the US should show great largesse and say, look, you know, let us invest in your country, which would become a country at that point, a real one, as opposed to a semi-country, sort of like what Palestine and Taiwan and a few others are. Recognize them fully, get a treaty going, trade deals, investment. With a population so low, it would require a significant amount of investment to get things rolling, but I mean, you could quadruple the Greenlandish economy probably in short order because there is a massive amount of resources there. John Hoyle, the Danes aren't a cuddly, warm people. I've talked to some Danish people, and they seem nice to me. Sorry that every time I play as Prussia and Victoria 2, the first thing that I do is annex most of your country, but that's the key, by the way, when you're playing as Prussia. You're supposed to take back your core in Denmark, but you can go further. You can simply crush them and then take the rest of the peninsula. Denying, by the way, a landing by anyone that attacks you from the north. So it just sort of makes sense. I like to try to form Super Germany. Difficult? Yes. Possible and doable? Yes, if you know what you're doing. Once you get the North German Confederation, you're more than a match for the Austro-Hungarians anyway. BW, I literally would not care what Trump has to do to win, even if he had to use the Democrats' most fortified election playbook. Wink, wink. I wouldn't support that. I believe in free, fair, and open elections. Mike the Wop, you're talking a lot quicker than normal. What else besides caffeine are you on? It must be the mushroom pills. I guess they work really well. I've been more high energy, actually. My insomnia has somewhat lessened over the last couple of days. So I guess I'm getting the well-rested bonus. BW, Der Führer, Styx Hexenhammer. Yeah, Prussia is definitely the most interesting country to play in Victoria, too. Trying to reunite the North German Confederation takes a lot of diplomatic effort. You can get crowned from a gutter and end up uniting Germany and making the German Empire, which makes you quite powerful. But it's better to bide your time, ignore the crown from a gutter if you get that event, which can happen. Once you unite, the North German Confederation, you have considerably higher literacy, therefore more research points. You have a significant amount of manpower, and the best strategy I've found is just to let the Austro-Hungarians invade you physically when you go to war with them. Keep your troops back a little bit. Then just rush all of the troops into one stack, wipe it off the face of the earth, go to the next one, wipe them out, rinse and repeat, take over their border, and then, occupy their capital. And if you can accomplish that, you can extract, you can get what's now Czechoslovakia from them. That weakens them further. And then in your next war, once your infamy is at 0, then you attempt to create Super Germany. By the way, you get a lot of coal by taking that region. John Hoyle, is Victoria 2 like Age of Empires? Much more complex than Age of Empires. Trust me. Managing the economic system is difficult. BW, we won't have free elections anyway once the current iteration of Democrats gets back in. Trump should do what is necessary to win so he can clean up. If he overstretches, though, they'll definitely get back in, reverse all of his policies, and then we're back to square one. It's better to be cautious and strategic at this time. So yeah, Desantis humiliated pedophile Scott Weiner. He's literally a pedophile, by the way. Many say feel free, a Kratom kava drink has them trapped in addiction and debt. Yeah, apparently some people are getting addicted to this, where it's still legal. It's illegal here in the state of Vermont, Kratom is. I do not believe it should be illegal. I've known many people, especially back in my Psychonaut era, who said that they were addicted to opioids. They switched to Kratom, and kava is indicated as well, and that it helped wean them off things like heroin. They were taking Percocets all day or Vicodins and stuff like that. They were taking opioids, painkillers and stuff like that, and they got addicted. And Kratom, while itself addictive, is sort of like heroin is to, well, it's not really comparable to methadone, I suppose, but similar principle. They give methadone generally to people withdrawing from heroin, and in some cases it works. Kratom, self-administered, appears to work a lot better. And because it's herbal, that's why they're trying to ban it all of the time. Even though it's less damaging than methadone is, which is quite a substance in and of itself, it works better, it's less addictive. But my caution to people, I'm not in favor of the drug war. Don't believe that it should be illegal. But here's the big catch. You should not be using substances if you're not already addicted to something and you're simply trying to wean yourself off. Kratom is useful for that purpose. But if you are not addicted to opioids, you should not be using Kratom. It is not a good idea. Snakes bleed red. When Styx has hit the crack pipe, he always snaps the nudes. I do not snap my noodles to any Italians or Italian Americans out there. Trust me, I give you my word and honor. I never snap the noodles. I've seen people do that before. I'm like, ugh. I'm not even Italian and it makes me cringe. There's no, all you have to do is put the noodles in when the water's ready and give them a spin. And then they just, you just push them down and they stay intact. And you want to add olive oil and a pinch of salt, by the way, when you're cooking them. And I made mine perfect this last time, as every time, by the way. Just saying, I don't think any of you would have any problems with my spaghetti. Mike the Womp. Pulled an apple off the tree the other week, and when I was done eating it, I realized the nicotine pouch under my upper lip was gone. Whoops. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, that's the other thing. People take up vaping even though they're not addicted to nicotine. That's dumb. Also, social smoking is dumb, because the first time that you have a really stressful event and reach for a cigarette, that's when it'll get you. Same with drinking. Most people can just have a beer, or they can have a glass of wine or something. It's when you start drinking for stress that it hooks you. That's the main cause of addiction, is stress. And an attempt by the brain to try to relieve that stress using a substance that is then addictive. Spike, I agree with the cautious approach. Look at the Dems now. They lost 2.5 million voters from overstretching over the last few years. Exactly. Marta Allen, wow, first time catching you live in all the years I've been following. Hi. Hello. Yeah. Try to avoid getting addicted to things. Trust me, it's no fun. Harrison Bergeron, you've got a point too. The pandemic created a large number of alcoholics. Yeah. Yeah, the alcoholism rate did rise notably during the pandemic, yeah. Sigil, I've been considering taking up pipe smoking pure leaf tobacco. That's not advisable. You can do whatever you want, but yeah, not advisable. Now, the other day we talked about the Mediterranean diet in a new study. It's only one study, so we're not 100% sure, but it appears to be heavily correlated with a reduction in dementia. Now, it turns out that it might also suppress type 2 diabetes. I can imagine why, when your diet contains a lot of vegetables, tomatoes and onions and stuff like that. A lot of greens, too. Unprocessed meat in many cases. Fish is good for you, omega-3 fatty acids and so forth. Although I am not a fan of salmon, so I would have to choose a different fish. I know salmon tends to be the go-to with regards to a lot of people's diets. I've known people that are obsessed with salmon. I only like it on sushi or if it's brined and then put on a bagel with extra cream cheese, by the way. But the Mediterranean diet has shown over time of the prescribed diets. So, you've got Atkins, you've got the carnivore diet, you've got veganism and various subgroups of that, Mediterranean diet and various others. The primitive diet and so forth. Various forms of vegetarianism, fruitarianism, which is a crazy diet, by the way. I don't see how you can survive. I don't think you can survive without supplements if you're a vegan or a fruitarian anyway. But overall, over time, the Mediterranean diet has distinguished itself as being pretty much the closest to a single standalone for everyone diet that is proven to be healthy, again, which makes sense. I personally prefer individualized dieting. Again, as I've explained, if I get a craving, I just go with it because I'm always craving things that are healthy for me, and I figure, my body must be, deficient in iron at the moment because I'm really craving a ribeye. Well, then I buy a ribeye. Take out a loan to buy it at this point with the prices the way they are, by the way. If I'm craving, if I'm craving a bunch of leafy greens, I'm like, my body wants fiber and vitamin D and things like that, vitamin K, maybe cruciferous vegetables. So I just go along with it because I never get a craving for a donut, so to speak. But if you're going to have a singular diet, Mediterranean diet is probably about as close to perfect as you can get. Snakes bleed red. Sardines. Yeah, sardines do body salmon. I agree. I also like anchovies, especially on pizza. I tried that once at a Pizza Hut back in the 90s. When I was a kid, I was a big fan of Garfield, right? And Garfield hated anchovies on his pizza. I'm like, I had never even heard of anchovies before I read the comic strip. So then I asked for anchovies on the pizza. I remember my mom was like, "Are you sure? I don't think you'll like it." I'm like, "Yeah, I want to try the goddamn anchovies." And I liked it, actually. You don't want to eat them on their own, though. They're a little bit on the salty side. Yeah, sardines are good as far as fish goes. I like little squiggly wiggly things, scallops and stuff like that. Although, again, the price of scallops will give you sticker shock beyond your capability of understanding. Yeah, it's $1 a bite. Buy this shit. Yeah. Generally, I prefer a low-carb diet with lots of vegetables and fruits, and I like red meat, unprocessed meat. Again, once in a while you have a hamburger, a couple of hot dogs, or something like that. There's nothing wrong with that, but you got to use it in limitation. 359 Cuban. The Caribbean diet is the perfect diet, lol. Caribbean is also up there, the Caribbean diet. I don't know as much about that as the Mediterranean diet. What would be the Caribbean diet? Is it Caribbean or Caribbean? I've heard it pronounced both ways. Looks yummy. Low-carb Caribbean recipes. Maybe I'll have to cook something from that. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not into jerk chicken, though, so I'll skip that part. Oh, oxtail stew. That sounds good. I like oxtail soup. Most people haven't had it. Apparently, it's a big thing in England, actually. Yeah, no, the Caribbean, there's a lot of chicken in there, which sucks to be me because I don't really eat chicken very much. So yeah, the Mediterranean diet, apparently it can suppress both dementia and type 2 diabetes, so I suggest you get some more of your greens up in ya. This is making me hungry talking about all this shit. Mike the Womp, you're addicted to caffeine. I hope you kick your addiction. Pre-dawn corpse, why are you gay? Actually, super straight. I like to make gay references to bother people and disturb them, though. It's very funny. Angel de Leon, Styx, how does Israel benefit U.S. as an ally? Well, if we were doing things the right way, it becomes a gigantic military landing zone as a launch pad into the general region. Other than that, it doesn't. The problem is that U.S. politicians feel compelled to side with Israel because they know that they'll get labeled Nazis if they don't. So if you say, well, you know, I'm not, like, look at Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene comes out and says, yeah, Israel is overseeing a famine in the Gaza Strip. It's quite self-evident. We have more than just footage that was made by Hamas, by the way. We have first-hand accounts. We have pictures, we have video, we have reports, we have watchdogs, NGOs. Everyone is saying there's a famine there. It's quite clear. Now, you don't have to be Team Palestine to understand that it's a goddamn famine. I just don't think that we should have any further involvement. Sending aid doesn't work. You send aid, it all gets stolen. Israel steals some of it too. Ben Bacon, why do liberals worship illegals but don't support homeless Americans? We should all donate $1 million to homeless shelters. Yeah, see, that's the other thing that I have a real big problem with. We send money overseas all the time. We're paying for luxury apartments for families of illegal aliens who are literally breaking the law by being in the country. But we're not willing to set up a better mental health system, a system to house people that are homeless currently. By the way, I hate the term unhoused, and the liberals are trying to distance themselves from that term too. I wonder fucking why. No, it's called being homeless. You do not have a home. You are homeless. You're not unhoused. No, I mean, yeah, you're not in a house at the moment, but you're also homeless because you don't have a place to call your own. It's not a degrading term, it's just a statement of fact. He's going to look down on you simply for being homeless out of no fault of your own. You've fallen through the cracks, usually. Somebody got addicted, somebody had a mental breakdown, veteran comes back with PTSD and just wanders off, can't deal with society, things like that. Or they just run out of money, they can't afford anything. Look at the housing prices. You know, you're going to have like 4 roommates in order to afford your pod. You're going to have to cram it in there real tight. I suppose heating won't be a problem because you'd be sharing body warmth with 5 other people. Now, people fall through the system because the government's not helping them. They're too busy helping illegals by the millions or sending that money abroad for no reason. Pre-dawn corpse, Stixers, you should try chitlins, pure health food. I don't think I've ever had chitlins, actually. In fact, I'm not even 100% sure what they are. Somebody from the South, elucidate me. The Swamp Cleaner, Styx, the shooter is transgender and uploaded a manifesto video on YouTube. Channel was deleted, but people archived it. I'll DM you everything. Thank you very much. So apparently a transgender shooter shot up a mass, I believe, earlier. That reminds me of that other case a couple of years ago. There was another incident like that. This means this will drop off the news fairly quickly, probably. Florida sheriff shows off $50K chain snatched from alleged drug dealer implicated in overdose death. The Polk County Sheriff wore the jewelry to drive home what he called the deadly consequences of so-called low-level drug dealing. Yeah, I got the drip, I got the body, we got the guns, we got the dope. This dude is ballin'. He looks hilarious. He's there with a big ass golden chain holding a revolver and shit like that. That's Sheriff Grady Judd. He's been in the news a few times before for this sort of thing, and it's pretty funny. Now, ultimately, I don't care if people do low-level drug dealing. It means nothing to me. They're not going to try to get your kids hooked because your kids generally aren't going to have the money to keep up a habit anyway. They're going to sell it to adults, generally speaking. And I don't believe that drugs in and of themselves should be illegal. I don't think they should be stigmatized either. Sometimes people just get addicted. We don't stigmatize people for being addicted to cigarettes. Well, I mean, there is some stigma attached to it. We all know that it's a bad habit, but we don't put them in jail. I mean, sometimes the cops kill people when they're selling rollies, like that one incident there. I can't remember. Was it Mike Brown or one of these others? The one that didn't get the giant holographic traveling display made by BLM. I think that was Mike Brown, if I remember correctly. But you got to realize, in this particular case, he was selling coke and somebody died as a result of taking the cocaine. Well, then that makes you kind of liable. What they should do is they should have labels, food labels on the drugs. And you're like, yeah, this may kill you. Side effects may include getting high and getting arrested, but, you know, everyone has to have their fix. We promise that there's only 1% fentanyl in this otherwise pure cocaine. That would be actually funny. Somebody should make like a libertarian dystopia movie where that sort of thing. Yeah, probably someone's already made it. Yeah, somebody should make a movie about that if there isn't one. If you know of any movies that are kind of like that, I'd be interested in seeing one. Joey D, pork cracklins with hair still on them. Oh, so is it sort of like head cheese or pork rinds? Huh. Mr. Mission Control, I distilled the best drugs from the city water supply. Yeah, there's all sorts of, there's a slurry of drugs in the water supply now. And they filter most of it out, but if you're getting water from a waterway, chances are it's contaminated with all sorts of shit. Dick pills, estrogen, steroids, cocaine, THC. Yeah, it's all in there. I've had water from the stream out back because that's still pristine. But that's because there's not a whole lot going on upstream. Like, it's basically from the middle of nowhere. That's where the water comes from. Rutland's water quality is actually pretty good. It goes right by the house. I can see the pipe from my backyard that the water goes through. They've been doing a lot of work up there, and at first I was skeptical. I thought, well, shit, you know, they're building all these paths and things, not really necessary. You know, the kids made their own path up to the ball field. It had been traveled for innumerable decades because the sports teams meet up there, and so there was like a little path. Now they've made like a whole hiking system, and it is more convenient. It goes literally right next to the property. So now that school is back in session, I can enjoy seeing a never-ending cavalcade of little goofballs shouting at each other and doing stupid shit. And I'm looking forward to the inevitable property damage that happens as a result of that. Because kids like to throw snowballs, especially at windows. Kids like to throw rocks at each other and play pranks and stuff like that. And these are elementary school students. So, yay! It's going to be a real calm neighborhood. King of Biltong. Oh, Biltong mentioned. Craving a snack that's bold, authentic, and packed with protein? Biltong boasts more than 50% protein, packed with B12, creatine, iron, zinc, and more. By the way, it's delicious. www.biltongusa.com. Use code STICKS for 10% off. You will not regret it. You won't regret getting some Bovrite either. I got the update, Anton, by the way. I know your package is on the way. I hope there's some Bovrite. I'm getting drastically low. I'm going to run out. Lord help me the day that I run out of Bovrite and don't have a replacement. Oh, God. H. Marmite is excellent. You should try Bovrite, it's better. The South Africans did it best with regards to these. I'm wondering if there's any other sort of like yeast extract spreads that I haven't tried yet. Oh, yes! Thank you, Anton! Bovrite is on its way. Good. Probably also use it as a dip. Mix it with other stuff. I put it in the soup that I was making that one time. Oh, it's delicious. It's way better than any like regular beef bouillon that you'll ever try. H. Bowl real. I'm assuming that's probably about the same. Pre-done corpse. Drop kick yourself in the eyes. Stick Saxon hammer. That would be hard to do. I'm not that flexible. Useful metals get unearthed in U.S. mines, then they're tossed. Recovering just 1% of rare earth elements from these byproducts could replace imports. Somebody tell Donald Trump, because he's probably the only one that's dedicated enough to try to actually get something done about this. If mining waste can be refined a second time and used to extract like lithium and shit like that, that would be great. That would be wonderful. And if it was only 1% that could replace imports, then imagine if you had a more efficient system. Here's my suggestion, therefore. Mining companies that are mining whatever the hell they happen to be, iron ore, copper, maybe oil, not oil, gold or whatever they're mining, they should set up secondary facilities to reprocess the mine waste and then extract everything else from it. Oh man, you could set up a whole supply chain at these mines. You wouldn't even have to dig deeper. I mean, there's enough mine waste at all the mining locations in the United States probably to supply us for 1,000 years, so it wouldn't be difficult. But many of the operations are ongoing anyway. So, load up that mine waste, set up a nice rail system to take it up, and then dump it into some sort of refining system, Put it into the blast furnace. And if there's fuel nearby, you can just refine it locally, and then you've got the fuel for the blast furnace and for the vehicles and everything else. Everybody wins. It would be wonderful. I don't know how feasible such a plan would be because I'm not an engineer or a geologist, although I do know a lot about minerals. I really liked, when I was a kid, I had those Grolier cards. I had thousands and thousands of them, actually. I subscribed to them for years. Wish I still had them, actually. Unfortunately, I don't. And it's like basically flashcards that show you a mineral. They had archaeological locations, mountain ranges, stuff like that. All sorts of scientific stuff. I was obsessed with this as a kid. By the way, Stolas teaches about the value of gems and minerals. Just saying, as an aside. Very funny. But I really liked that as a kid. I'm not sure how feasible such a supply line would be, but if you could figure it out, I would think, God, you'd make so much money and we wouldn't have to import that shit from China. That would be an improvement. Spike, I'm glad the cold is coming soon. Makes it easier to order Antons. I know you have the cold packs, but the mail service is wonky. It always comes here properly chilled. Yeah, I've still got more packets of biltong that I have to eat. I mean, I would ship some of it out to maybe a couple of friends, but the problem is I don't know how I would do that properly. Like, I could use those cold packs. I do save the cold packs, actually. They come in very useful. But unless it's a really short haul, like I was sending it to someone where it's like 2 days away, I don't know how well it would hold up. I don't want to accidentally poison anyone. That would be bad. Sigil, my biltong always arrives warm. Well, that's funny. Mine always arrives chilled. I don't know. Pre-59 Cuban, The Quiet Earth is a good post-apocalypse movie. For pure fun, check it out. Panic in the Year Zero. Huh. Panic in the Year Zero. Yeah, I like apocalypse movies. I mean, one of my favorite games is Fallout, so. Then Bacon, would you agree there's no atheist on deathbeds? No, I would not agree. I believe that there are people like myself who I'm apatheistic. I don't care about the issue of whether there's some sort of deity. I have my own spiritual reality. I would say beliefs, but it's more than a belief. Don't worry, death is not your enemy. It's not the end, and there's nothing wrong with it. The act of dying can be painful and confusing, but actually being dead doesn't even exist to begin with. Physical body, temporal body, goes away. It's just a vehicle. It's no different than, getting your car sent to the junkyard. And that's all death is. The driver's still alive, usually. King of Biltong. Biltong is very robust. Even when warm, it has no issues. We keep it cold, but it will survive more than you think. Yeah, I long suspected that the refrigerate and so forth, that's really more for legal purposes than anything else. Because once it's been properly prepared, I assume it lasts longer than a week. No, it doesn't tend to last that long, though. It tends to get eaten fairly quickly. That's how good it is. Snakes bleed red. Giant salamander biltong, bro. Yeah, what we need is alligator biltong. The Swamp Cleaner sent you a snippet of the manifesto video. He stabs the page with a sketch of the layout of the church echoing "Where I Kill Myself" over and over. Ah. Yeah, I guess that'll probably be the main video for tomorrow. Sir Husky654. Trump needs to send the feds into Burlington. Last year I stopped by on my way back from Montreal and it felt less safe than the sketchier part of Montreal. There were needles everywhere and a guy smoking crack in the open. Burlington is fucking falling apart. Yeah, you are correct. That's why the only reason that I go there is if I need to use the airport. It's not worth it anymore. I used to walk around in the middle of the night, alone and unarmed, on Pearl Street, down Church Street, all over the city. Everything felt safe. The sketchiest part of the city was down on the southwest end, actually, near where the Greyhound station was before they moved it to the airport. And there, when I went there the first time, I felt kind of uneasy. And it was, late in the day before I got on the bus. And I was like, I don't know, am I going to get mugged here or something? Because I'm a sheltered country boy. By the time I got back, after going to southern Texas on a Greyhound, I should have flown, but I didn't realize how easy it was at the time. I was never traveled alone, long distances. By the time I got back after seeing Atlanta and Springfield and New York City and a bunch of other places, I was like, wow, why was I worried about this goddamn neighborhood? It made no sense. It's different now, unfortunately. It's not the scenic sort of city that it used to be. It's really rather sad. Ben Bacon, would you agree there's no atheists on... Oh, I already read that one. No, I wouldn't agree. Ramon C. GTC, sometimes I feel aliens are humans from the future. Well, aliens aren't coming anywhere near this planet. It's surrounded by a death shroud of bacteria, viruses, oxidizing atmosphere, and pollen, and all sorts of other things that could potentially kill your entire civilization off once you got back to your homeworld. They're not checking this planet out. They don't give a shit. It's entirely possible that there's at least one intelligent life form out there somewhere aware of the fact that this planet has life on it. They would probably have technology considerably more advanced than what we're using, and so they would know that we're here. Can they reach us? Probably not. Would they want to? Probably not. If they've gotten to that level of sophistication, they're probably intelligent enough to understand why that's a bad idea. Splifferton. Styx, you were right about quite a few things, but you're wrong about other intelligent life. Are you saying that I'm wrong about it existing, or that I'm wrong about it not visiting this planet? Because I don't know. I don't know which one you're referring to. Jeff Garman. Mushrooms can live in outer space for extremely long periods of time. They might be aliens. Yeah, I need the Shooter's Manifesto, and I'll check out that snippet later. I might give an extra video today and just punt something else. Splifferton, it's been here longer than civilization. So you believe that the aliens are on this planet at the moment? Like shapeshifters or something? Ripsidian, Styx, what about interdimensional demons? Yes, they exist. Absolutely. It's more, a little bit more complex than the average person has put it. In fact, I was actually going to cover that in an occult video fairly soon. First, though, I have to talk about the Wendigo. Apparently, this is something that the kids... I have a young niece, and she's making a mask, a Wendigo mask. Apparently, the Wendigo has become sort of a meme among, the younger Gen Zers and older Gen Alphas. It's become sort of a thing. Masks and things like that are definitely coming back into fashion among the very young, up into their teens generally. Yeah, apparently the Wendigo is the year's hottest trend, so to speak. Over easy mode. Yes, aliens, they're just not interested in this planet and they may not be anywhere near us, may or may not know we exist, probably would not visit because they die. And yes, demons, yes, absolutely, demons are real. The Swamp Cleaner. The manifesto is in video form. People archived it before the channel was suspended. Excellent. I do like the story of the Wendigo. I'm going to be making a video, actually, on that topic. That's the next occult video I'm going to make about the Wendigo, the Pigman, the Goatman of Lover's Lane, things like that, and certain cautionary tale sort of things. It's just like when adults tell kids, the graveyard's haunted, it's filled with spooky shit. It's to keep them out of the graveyard. Don't go there. Little kids will generally listen, they'll be scared, and then when they get older, they're fucking behind a gravestone. It's sort of a rite of passage situation. Chupacabra versus Wendigo. I'm Team Wendigo on that one. Yeah, demons and aliens are not the same thing, Splifferton. No, alien is... there's an intelligent species the next galaxy over that happens to have a civilization. I can guarantee you with 100% certainty that other intelligent species inhabit this universe. This galaxy alone probably has thousands of different planets that are inhabited by intelligent species and hundreds of thousands more inhabited by life that is unintelligent. There are different grades, of course. Bacteria is a little bit different from a club moss. A club moss is different from a cat, and a cat is different from some dude, some bipedal creature with a huge cranium that's capable of traversing from planet to planet. These are different things. We, in a very short period of time since the industrial era, have gone from basic steam power and mostly things made of wood and stuff to all you see around you. Like, I couldn't have done this even 30 years ago, let alone 300 years ago. It's been very few generations since this world became, fully civilized in the modern sense that we see it now. We went, in a very short period of time, 100 years lapsed between the moonshot and before that, when people were still riding steam trains. Well, it doesn't take very long now, does it? Unfortunately, I think most intelligent species end up dying out, either due to disaster or war or, they just, some disease, they kill themselves off. Some of them probably commit cultural suicide. And they're like, well, we can't get off this rock. Our life is miserable. All we do is, grow weird foods. I'm sure that the alien food species look very, very strange by our count, by the way. Basically, think of it and it exists in the universe. It is far too vast for it not to. But we can't really communicate with them with our current technology. Even when we develop better technology, we might not be able to. It might be physically impossible. If you wanted to see interconnected species doing trade and travel and stuff, you'd need to get closer to the center of the galaxy. That's because it's higher concentration of planets and solar systems and so forth. They're closer together. There's more light available. There'd be a lot more stars in the sky. And so there's more energy input. So that's where you would find the most life. We're on the outer band. We're a nowhere land. That reminds me of the song Nowhere Girl, actually. Good song, by the way. Very depressive 80s song with a weird upbeat tempo. Inland Surfer, what a twist. Kids love masks after the face diaper years. Yeah, I know. What a coincidence. Paul, suggestion for making Social Security more solvent. No kids, no Social Security. We pay for previous generations, not our own, fortunately. Now, if somebody is paying into the system, they should be able to draw out. It should be seen as a piggy bank. I think that you should be able to opt out. Unless you're making a certain amount of income, in which case it's like, hey, just fucking pay into the system, you're rich. That would make, or apply it to business taxes or something in lieu of that. That would make sense. I believe you should be able to privately invest that money. Like, I have to pay into Social Security. I'm never going to get a penny from that. I'm never going to retire. I kind of can't retire considering the fact that I'm self-employed. And then if you make too much on your own after you retire, you don't get the Social Security. I mean, it's a scam system, but it is one that benefits some people, but not really that much. I mean, it's starvation level amounts of money. You can't, on the average person's Social Security check, can they really afford rent? No. Well, they can if they don't want to eat that month. They have to beg, borrow, and steal in order to get by. Ben Bacon, how can we defeat mortality, the ultimate evil? You're already immortal, is my answer. You already have. There's nothing to defeat. Mortality is an illusion. Your physical body will die. How sad. Well, once it gets old and gray, you'll wish that it was dead and you'll want a new one, right? Well, you'll get one. Uncontrollable reincarnation with a lot of convolution. I could write an entire full-length work on my reality. And it is a reality. It's not just a belief. I know how these things work. All I can say is that when you're on your deathbed, be prepared to temporarily suffer, and then be very happy. And then you'll laugh about the fact that you feared death. Death is my friend, as I explained to a fellow occultist recently who has vaguely different views from my own. Misner Flux read recent article claiming that according to scans, the middle of the Milky Way is currently pointed directly at Earth. Not sure what to make at it. How can it be pointed? It's spherical, effectively. There are just different arms from the Milky Way, you know? It would be nice if one day all of the power in the entire world went out, so all the lights were off and everyone could see the full Milky Way. Right now, you have to go to like the most remote locations in order to see it. It's like the entire sky is beautiful. Apparently, when the power went out in Los Angeles during the rolling blackouts, I think it was 94 or something, people were calling up the police saying, oh my god, there's shit in the sky. And they're like, that's the Milky Way, ma'am. They had never seen it before. They'd barely seen any stars at all. Ramon C. GTC, can we escape reincarnation? Nope. You already will live forever. We're already immortal. Sigil, every time a demon farts, an angel is born. Paul, I agree with everything you just said, but unfortunately it is a scam. The stipulations should incentivize more births and help stabilize things. Possibly. Nunya, there's a famine? Oh, their restaurants are open and doing fine? I call bullshit, just like the fat slob women parading their ill, not starving children for all to see. Lying liars. Considering the fact that most of the buildings have been crumbled into dust, I don't think that there are many restaurants open in Gaza City. Pretty sure that that's not actually true. Stephen Goodman, Sticks, I was in LA and you are correct, sir. Yeah, people were freaking out. They thought there was like an alien invasion or the sky was falling apart or something. Must have been funny. I see plenty of stars here, but because I'm fairly close to Rutland, you don't get to see like the full Milky Way or something. If you went to the Northeast Kingdom or maybe like the swamps in the middle of Maine, You could probably see it a bit. Maybe. Spike. Yes, fuck Social Security. It's a scam. The government borrows your money for years and gives it back slowly after inflation destroys it. Yeah, see, that's the problem. I would rather privately invest my money because I'm probably better at balancing a budget than the US government. H. On news that Spain inadvertently sent tons of pork sausages, bacon, and ham to Gaza, it miraculously turns out the whiny cunts ain't that fucking hungry after all. Praise be to Allah in it. I need to look that story up. I need this. I looks like they're denying it. It looks like they're denying that they accidentally sent a bunch of pork products. Although, that would be funny. I might as well cover that tomorrow anyway. Did Spain send pork meatballs in aid packages? Maybe they did it on purpose. It's always possible. That would. I've got to admit that that would be pretty funny. You remember when they developed those bullets that were, I think, dipped in, like, pig blood or something like that? And they were sold as specifically to fight Islamists or something? And there was a big thing about that. Inland Surfer, I agree. The Milky Way reflecting off a calm ocean is spellbinding. No, Joey D, I don't think Israel would do that because Jews also don't eat pork. So they probably wouldn't want to touch the packages if they were had that. I know there have been cases where somebody who is Jewish or Islamic in checkouts, they refuse to personally handle pork items, even if they're packaged, because they feel that it's a sin. It's haram or non-kosher. Personally, I will forsake the pork chops, but I will not forsake the bacon. In fact, I got an idea to, I'm going to one-up that Valentina woman from Texas who's running for Congress there. She burned up a Quran with a flamethrower. Well, I think it was the one from the Boring Company, so it's technically an oversized weed wand, although it looks pretty effective at short range. I'm going to take a Quran and rip out its pages and use it for tinder to start a little fire out on a grill and then cook bacon on it. And then I'm going to be rambling the whole time. It's going to be fun. Maybe I'll throw in a copy of the Torah, too. I'll piss everyone off. Copium poppies. Ghosts aren't the spirits of the dead. Every time you fart, a new ghost is created. Malevolent ghosts are made from egg farts. Yeah, let's have I'll throw in a Bible, too. The religious barbecue. Just to show my contempt for ritualism. No problem with Christians, Islamists, or Jews. I don't have any problem with anyone for whatever religion they practice. But ritualism is bullshit. I'll throw in the Book of Mormon. I got a copy of that from some missionaries once. I'll burn that too. It'd be funny if I still smoked weed. Haven't in a long time. If I still smoked weed, I would roll and smoke, some joints. Ghosts do exist, but they are not sentient entities, by the way. Yeah. Have to get a copy of the Tibetan. Well, I wouldn't burn the Tibetan Book of the Dead just because it's so, kind of creepy in a way. Sigil. Burning a Bible is passé. Well, yeah, but it would be alongside the Quran, the Torah, the Book of Mormon, anything else that I find hilarious. Yeah, and I'll wrap it up in a Ukrainian flag, then an Israeli flag, then a Palestinian flag, then a US flag, then a Russian flag. I'll just piss the whole world off. I'm going to desecrate everything. Here's my address, by the way, if you have a problem with this. That sounds funny. Let's make the most offensive video ever. Yeah. Oh, and then I'll have Hindu scriptures in there, and then I'll also cook some beef. Yeah. This cow used to be alive. Now it is dead. Stephen Goodman, Scientology? I would, accept that they're a joke anyway. It's just a corporation. It's just a giant scam, so. Pre-59 Cuban. Burn one of your own books. Lol. That's a good idea, too. I think I accidentally bought a second copy of my own book, The Lesser Key of Solomon. And I've got to find the other copy, but yeah, I could do that. Dress as the devil when you do it. Yeah. Patrick Shanahan, Hindu means seeker, not vegetarian. I'm aware of this. But yeah, Hindus aren't vegetarians. They won't eat beef generally. Crow Minion, give yourself a refund. That's the funny part. When I buy one of my own books, I do get a bit of money back, actually, from the sale. Technically speaking, I could rate my own works, but I swear I've never done that. Yeah, that sounds like fun. And it's getting to the time of year when it's a great time to barbecue because it's not, it's not particularly hot out, but it's also not prohibitively cold. And you can do it in the middle of winter if you want, and you'll be huddled close to those flames. That sounds like fun. We're doing it. I'm almost out of water. Didi Cortez, who'd you pick? Mid-white girl or me, who's naturally tan and Van prepares you a roasted cauliflower aged white cheddar soup? Well, I like roasted cauliflower. If you wanted that sort of thing, though, you'd actually have to get in touch in private. Otherwise, there'd definitely be some clips going around on certain websites. Oh, I'm out of water. I'll have to eat more tea. Sigil, burn the cat. Burn the cat. Burn the witch, burn the witch, burn. That was a Christopher Lee movie, but I can't remember the name of it. What was that campy Christopher Lee movie? Where there was a witch and a wizard, and the witch got condemned, and then she sort of came back, and there was that little community, like a really creepy village, and then there was the old priest that was half blind and stuff. No, copium poppies, it's cauliflower. At least here in Vermont. We call it cauliflower. We will go to war with your state. As a result of this importunity... What was the name of that movie? What was it called? No, it wasn't Horror Hotel. He did a lot of campy movies back then. City of the Dead. That was the name of it. It's fairly short. It's only a bit over an hour. You should watch it. City of the Dead. It's free on YouTube, by the way. City of the Dead with Patricia Jessel, Denise Lotus, and Christopher Lee. Really good movie, by the way. In fact, maybe I'll watch that later. I like campy old movies from the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And then I like the cyberpunk sort of movies from the 80s. And also the action movies. Lots of explosions. And that was great. I'm not really into 90s and 2000s movies for the most part, unless it's a stoner comedy. And there are very few modern movies that actually intrigue me. Most of it's dumbed down bullshit. Doug, yes, Blade Runner. Don't accidentally watch 28 Years Later, Temple of Bones. Yeah, I'm always in the mood for new movies to watch. Copium poppies. Cauliflower, cauliflower, not cauliflower. It's cauliflower. Yes, over easy mode. Christopher Lee was an actual SAS Special Force badass. He was a real killer. Yes, funny story. Apparently, when they were filming the second Lord of the Rings movie, you know that scene in which Grima Wormtongue stabs him in the back and he just goes like that? Peter Jackson, who of course, made the movie, was like, hey, that's not exactly what it's supposed to sound like, is it? And Christopher Lee's like, no, it is. He's like, how do you know this? He's like, you have your secrets, I have mine. So the insinuation is at some point he probably came up behind somebody and stabbed them in the middle of the back and killed them. And that was the sound that they made. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Anyway, any movie with Christopher Lee in it, I'm probably going to like. It doesn't matter if it's from the campy period, the Dracula period, where over and over they just wanted to play fucking Dracula. And then Wicker Man, great movie. Lord of the Rings. I can't think of a time that Christopher... Oh, Treasure Island, another one of my favorite movies. He played Blind Pew in a minor role. They should have had him in a more major role, by the way. He did a good job of that. He was always convincing as an actor. He also is the oldest person in history, by the way, to release a charting metal album, believe it or not. And also, one of his albums, the Bards and Villains one that he made back in the 80s, that was produced by Nicholas Schreck from Radio Werewolf, whose music actually got me interested into the dark wave genre and who I've spoken to on a number of occasions. And I believe that when he had that one clip where he was talking about Satanism and stuff, and he was like, well, people think I have all these devil worship books and stuff like that, and he was like, never, never, never get into this stuff. It'll steal your mind and it'll steal your soul. I have a feeling that it was Nicholas Schreck that he was referring to. Just saying. There's a little bit of a rabbit hole that I could go down. I'll have to make like an hour-long video to explain it, but yes, I've been privy to more knowledge on these subjects than the average person. Just saying. So yeah, Christopher Lee probably killed at least one person. Probably more. When you're in war, that happens, Then he probably stole the dude's spaghetti. He just ate it. Yeah, Coffee in America, Wicker Man. Very great movie. The remake, of course, having virtually zero resemblance to the original and is not the Wicker Man at all. I'm not going to see it. Seen clips from it, not interested. The original 70s Wicker Man is one of the all-time great masterpieces of cinematography. Lemon curd. I love Christopher Lee. Good. Then we can get along. If somebody says that they don't like Christopher Lee, it's like, hey, Sticks, can you tell Copium to fuck off from me? Lol, just kidding. No, we don't tell Copium to fuck off. We may have mild disagreements from time to time with regards to Trump, but he's a good clanker. So are you. Yes, Mark, Boyd Rice was involved with that too. Played at the Strand many years ago. Boyd Rice is an interesting character. Apparently one time he was holding a concert and he liked to troll people. Like he would walk around with a shirt that said rape. And there was one time he told a joke. He's like, why did the feminist cross the road? To suck my dick. Just hilarious. Well, kind of. in a weird way. But apparently one time when he was at a concert, all of a sudden he aimed the floodlights up on stage at the audience, blinding them. And when he was like laughing his ass off when they were like yelling and complaining and stuff like that. He's a bit of a troll. He also likes his cocaine, apparently. Allegedly. A little birdie told me that he may have liked that back in the day. And by little birdie, I mean somebody who He tried to perv on and got rejected, which is really funny. This is why I studied psyops. Artist formerly known as the Watchdog, Dark Crystal. Absolutely Dark Crystal. I love those 80s movies that are like, it's kind of a kid show when you think about it, because it's like with Muppets and puppets and stuff like that. But it's really gritty, and there's like, it's kind of horrifying when you really think about it. And there's like fog machines everywhere, and a lot of like really cluttered background, like swamp scenes and stuff. This sort of starts off with the second Star Wars movie, with Empire Strikes Back, with Dagobah. And Jim Henson very quickly adapts that sort of style for a lot of his stuff. And then a lot of others. Dark Crystal, Labyrinth would be another example with David Bowie. Probably going to be watching a David Bowie movie later, Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence, which some people said was bad and some people said was great. Neverending Story and The Lost Boys are other examples. A lot of grittiness, a lot of dark, foggy, sort of, dismal atmosphere and stuff. This is reflected in comics as well. The golden age of comics by then was long over, and you move into the 80s, late 70s into the 80s with the Bronze Age of comics. They become grittier. They tackle more real-world stuff like drug abuse and trafficking and stuff like that, and things become a little bit darker. It was a dark time. But look at decor. The corporate boardroom before that had been sort of antiquated, with teak wood and stuff like that. All of a sudden now it's, black glass and neon lights and stuff like that. Nightclubs and things like that. The decor simply changed. Everything about, and there was basically bipolar too. Because also in the 80s, home decor tended to be more like fluffy and ruffles and bright colors and stuff like that. But when you went to the nightclub or the corporate boardroom or something, it was all black suits and ties and stuff like that. Pan's Labyrinth is good. Didi Cortez, way to skip my super chat. My apologies. I didn't try to. No, I didn't skip your super chat. I told you, I like roasted cauliflower. Made one once, actually. I made it Indian style. It was pretty yummy. Came out really well. But yeah, I mean, you have to message me privately if you want a response to that sort of question. I believe that the personal and the professional should be mutually exclusive. Line from my second favorite movie, Ninth Gate. Lemon Curd Zero, good song. Blame It on the Boogie by Michael Jackson. I like that song. Yeah, Pan's Labyrinth was good. I wouldn't call it excellent, but it was a good movie. My favorite will, I think, always be Brotherhood of the Wolf. I'd be very surprised if another movie could supplant it. It's the only movie I've ever seen that can combine more than two genres and still be good. Because basically every genre's in Brotherhood of the Wolf. Historical fiction, a little bit of comedy, martial arts action, a little bit of horror, of course, considering the subject material, romance, the drama, everything's in there, basically. Thriller. Ah, Harrison Bergeron, Repo Man, I've seen that. Mommy, Sheeta Hop, welcome to McDonald's. Could we interest you in a roasted cauliflower? Don't knock it till you buy it. You should try some. All you do is you take a cauliflower, chop it up into small segments, put it in a bag, then you add whatever you're seasoning it with, and then you bake it. And that's basically all you have to do. What did I use? Of course, a little bit of oil. I think I used olive oil for that one. And then I added curry, some salt, of course, and I can't remember the other herbs and spices. We had, when I was in the Netherlands, there were 2 full drawers full of herbs and spices. It was a massive amount. I had pretty much every seasoning you could possibly ever wish for. And probably some of them are still there at this point. And they stay good for a while, as long as they're, under proper conditions. BW, Sticks, what do you think they will uncover in Bolton raid? Do you think that Trump will start arresting people? I'm hoping that John Bolton gets arrested. He deserves it for his warmongering and treason. But I don't expect that to happen. I expect they'll quietly retire the story more than anything else. I do not believe that Trump is going to go on a spree of arresting people, because it would give ammo to his enemies to say, look, he's becoming a dictator. We got troops on our street corners and now he's arresting the political opposition. He's going to become a dictator. And they'll try to whip the fans up so that it's not just the far, far left that's rioting and protesting. Then the center left will join them and it would become a big logistic nightmare. Rabbit Vampirates, Booty Jacob. Yes, I am the vampire. H. Bolton has been queefing continuously for 3 days now. Again, with the queefing. I don't want to think about that. I'm blocking it out of my mind. The Serpent and the Rainbow, says Mr. Mission Control. Yeah, I don't know what it's about, but I'm willing to check out any movie. Mount Venice, Frankenstein and the Monster from Hell, 1974. That sounds fun. Let me look that up. Okay, yeah, that looks like the kind of movie that I would like. Thank you for that one. By the way, I am very happy to announce something. Here's an eventuality. All of the stories for Morbid Stories have been fully sorted, which means that later on, I'm going to begin writing the 2nd volume of Morbid Stories. Having finished the 3rd and final edition of the 1st edition, I'm going to be making the 2nd volume. And so it's going to be even more depraved and insane than the first one. So for those of you who have purchased Morbid Stories, and I hope that you enjoy it, some of you probably got it from the 1st edition, actually. The 2nd and 3rd are better, admittedly. Formatting's better, a lot of typos taken care of, expanded with the 3rd edition especially. You should get a copy. I kept the price about as low as I could while still actually being able to make ends meet. But anyway, I'm going to try to make the 2nd volume about the same page length. And I think I have enough material to carry it to like 320 pages, which means I'm also going to pop in the bonus material a longer story, sort of almost a mini novella of sorts, to bring it to proper page length so that I can use the same format as before, because it's difficult. The literary process and the editing process can be a little bit onerous at times. It took me many years to sort of perfect the way that I was doing things. So yeah, it's going to be some great shit. BW, all Trump has really gotten done so far is something that normies can appreciate as the border, which is goofy. While also extending tax relief, attempting to conduct diplomacy in a normal manner, as opposed to the prior administration. Yeah. D.D. Cortez, I just want to give you a beige. I don't know what a beige is, actually. I'm assuming you mean blowjob. Not really into those things. Believe it or not. BW, do you think the border alone will win Trump midterms, failing redistricting of all red states, no race districts, end of war, etc.? Also, I see NAACP is trying to help Dems by saying Texas is race motivated. Yeah, but it's not racially motivated. It's politically motivated. There is a motivation behind what Texas is doing. Of course there is. Political parties do this all the time. Look at Chicago. The ultimate irony is that the Democrats that decided to breach quorum by fleeing the state went to Chicago, which is the most gerrymandered district in the entire United States, par excellence. There's no place that has more gerrymandering going on than Chicago. EW, beige is a knob job. Also, chitlins, in case no one answered, is washed pig intestines. Disgusting. I'll try chitlins. Sounds good to me. Better than grits. I hate grits. I've never had good grits. Look, I've had grits that were homemade. Didn't like them. I had grits from a package from the store. Didn't like them. I had grits in jail. Really didn't like those, because apparently they never invented salt down in the New Orleans Parish jail. So yeah, I'm not a fan of grits, but I tried chitlins. Par excellence. It's called colloquial usage. Ramon C. GTC. Yes, blood sausage is indeed good. I like blood sausage. I'll eat pretty much anything. There are only like, I could count the number of foods that I don't like probably on my fingers. Grits, runza, quiche. I'm not a fan of most quiches. Some of them are passable, but it's not the sort of thing that I would want to eat if given the choice. Persimmons. I hate persimmons. I don't like guava. Guava fruits. They have a weird aftertaste, I've noticed. Uh, Anything else? Well, I guess it's only 5 foods that I don't really like. S.C. Woods. Sausage casings is also washed pig intestines. Yeah, some of them are, so I like I like the idea of eating chitlins. Charmaine Cortina's books. Hey Sticks, what's the price of getting a shout out for my puzzle books? Big clank. I have a stick spoon. Nice. You can DM me on Twitter if you wanted to work something out for a shout out. That works for me. Wallhead Rex. Cantaloupes? I love cantaloupes. Oh, that one year we grew our own cantaloupes. They came out perfect, by the way. They were as sweet as honey. They were amazing. They were perfectly ripe, perfectly sweet. That was great. I want to do that next year. Problem is, melons and zucchinis, for some reason, are having problems here. They didn't used to. My grandfather must have done something different. But then he couldn't get peppers to grow properly, and I have too many peppers, usually. Peppers and also okra. God, you should have seen how many fucking pods each plant. I wish that I'd only put in 4 instead of 6. Stephen Goodman. Passion fruit, I really, really like. Yeah, passion fruit is amazing. It's actually one of my favorite fruits. I also like dragon fruit. I like star fruit. Uh, and berries, obviously. And I like me some bananas. Yeah, I like a healthy diet. Fruits and veggies and red meat and dairy products, basically. I don't need sweets ever again. The only time I use sugar, I use a little bit in tomato sauce. That's basically it. Skippy, do you like fried chicken and watermelon sticks? I can make an excellent fried chicken, but I don't eat watermelon. I got sick one time at a party. One of my mom's friends, her son had a birthday party, and I went there and they served food. And I know it wasn't the watermelon that got me sick, but I got sick, very nauseous. And yeah, from then on, I haven't been able to eat watermelon really. I did have watermelon fairly recently, just once, and I found I was able to eat it. But I don't even really care about the flavor anyway, so I'm not going to bother. I think one of my friends made like a watermelon syrup recently, if I remember correctly. Like gets reduced down and you turn it into a syrup and or something. I'm not exactly sure how it works. Sand fruit. Yeah. Not a big apple fan unless it's a Macintosh or a Golden Delicious. And but I like Asian pears. I like most fruits. What's my favorite though? Passion fruit would be up there. I think that black raspberries though are probably my all-time favorite and peaches a close second. And for some goddamn reason, there are people that will peel their peaches and not eat the skin. I do not pretend to understand. It makes no sense to me. Sir Husky, yes, figs are good. Lemon curd. Sticks! They're picking on me! Ha ha ha. My roast chicken with stuffing and gravy is the finest on the planet. You should try making the Parthian chicken from Tasting History, actually. Oh, God, if you do it right, it comes out so goddamn good you wouldn't believe it. Alright, this is devolved into the food channel now. Anyways, I'm going to go offline. I've been going for almost 2 hours. At some point, I should probably eat something. That would probably be a good idea. So I'm going to go offline now, and I'll docket the news. I already got to thank you for the news tips, by the way. I've already got 2 to cover. I may make an extra video, actually, with regards to that shooting. And then probably we'll add it to the docket for tomorrow, too, because we'll get news updates throughout the afternoon and into the morning. So I'll see what's going on with that. And then, yeah, oh, Mike the Womp. I peel certain fruits even though I want the skin because they're all sprayed with all kinds of poison. Hopefully it's just on the outside and the plant doesn't absorb it on the inside. Oh, all you have to do is wash it. It's all good. That's about all. Peace out.